All right, Caroline, we're live. So
Yay.
you said you're a little nervous. What are you nervous about?
Um, I don't know. I don't get nervous a lot. It's hard to really know, but I know your audience is like real business people. So I guess I'm just nervous about, looking good.
Are you not a real
To be
business
completely
Are you
honest.
not a real
I guess
business person?
I am a real business person too, but
Well, there you
oh,
go. That's of course you're a real business person. So, I I have something I want to ask you on the record. I feel like you're really busy. Do you consider yourself really busy?
super busy. Yes.
What do you say you're mostly busy doing?
Oh man, that's a tough question. I think just aligning partnerships is the biggest thing I work on. So I'm just in meetings every day, connecting with people. So that's what I do.
What What part of what you do out of your busy day and connections, which part do you love the most?
Making things happen after the connection. Like the end result is like, I think that's the most fun part, but also being able to meet with people and getting to know people, that's also fun. Like I actually like going out and having fun. That whole work hard, play hard thing. I like the working hard as long as it has the play hard too. So the whole traveling thing, meeting people, like I love that part too. So
Okay.
it's kind of why I've kind of built my life around also having fun and working hard, because you gotta have both. You can't just work hard, you know?
For sure. I think I may have asked you that before, but I just now, since we're recording, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put her on the spot and talk about her. I've been trying to be less busy. I don't know if I told you this, but
Yeah.
I scheduled Fridays where I don't work. We're actually, I know we're doing the lunch Friday, but I don't do calls on Fridays now. I'd like to shrink that down to even Monday through Wednesday. I'm just trying to really, really take a step back from like working so much. I don't know. I just got burnt out. So uh,
Yeah.
the mastermind almost killed me, I think.
Oh my God, dude. I don't miss doing events. Like I used to do so many investor events, dude. I have a investor event like in a bunch of cities in Florida. Like every 2 months, we would have one in 5 different cities in Florida, and it was just a lot, So I know how you're feeling. I'm sure, and it was an awesome event, by the way.
Well, thank
So
you.
for the audience here, Jeremy has a mastermind called Founders Mastermind. I'm a member. It was a lot of fun. I think it was really worth it. I made some awesome connections there. And
Who's
I think you did a great job.
Well,
It's
thank
it was
you.
fun.
I'm
Yeah.
passing the baton really to Kyler now. It's kind of, I just, threw it all on her now. Not that we're not going to
Yeah.
be involved as owners, but I was a little too involved in day to day. That's what happens with startups, though. I mean, it was a new
Yeah.
business, and there's a lot of like all the little things from creating the contracts to like the systems for everything to setting up the Stripe account to like all that little stuff is like I don't know if I'm ever going to start a business from scratch again. At least not for a long time. I think I like
You
getting involved.
surprised me. Yeah,
Yeah.
you surprised me by doing that from scratch. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just why not get involved in companies that are already like maybe doing okay but just underperforming or getting involved. I don't know. But I'm not for a while. I'm gonna need a special type of feeling and energy to just start a company from scratch. But
Mhm.
I'm glad we did. I think it's gonna be something that we have for a really long time. And are you going to Affiliate Summit?
Haven't decided. When is it?
It is in
Like I should know.
it's the week after next. It's the like July 19th and 20th or whatever in New York.
Oh, dang. Yeah. I book trips usually like by the seat of my pants, unless it's like founders, then I already have it booked.
Well, we appreciate that, and we're looking forward to Jamaica. You'll be on the next year's retreat. You're doing some yacht party or something instead, so that's okay. It's a
Yeah,
good excuse.
definitely. Yeah, it'll be fun. So,
So, Caroline, share a little bit about yourself because one thing I will say, and I'm not one to give too many compliments, you know me by now, but I do always appreciate you have like positive energy, you like get people laughing, You give people compliments. You do a much better job of that than me. So share, like, how did you get to where you are, like, in business now? Like, how did you become so busy, you know?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But
Yeah.
how did you, like, because I know you have an investor background, and as a female, which, you know, that's the stuff I really want to talk about. So I'm just warming you up a
Yeah.
little bit because I'm going to talk about being a
That's cool.
woman in business, right?
Yeah.
And how
I
I
figured you would
actually
touch on
believe,
that.
because I actually believe in 2021, it's a major advantage to be a woman, not a disadvantage. But
Oh,
anywho,
hell yeah.
share a little bit about your background. How did you get to the founder of Clickable?
Yeah. Well, I'll touch on being a woman really quick. I feel like it is a total advantage. I exploit that shit all the time, whether it be on the golf course, we get the closest hole or the closest part to the hole, right? In golf, we get to do hair. Now guys kind of get to do makeup and hair too, but we get to do that. We get to dress up as much as we want. We get pampered all the time, right? I get my foot rubs all the time. I don't know. I think all that
Who
happens
gives you
to
foot rubs? Mike?
Mike, yeah.
Oh,
Or I
okay.
tried to get him to give me them, but we're working on it being daily. I don't want to be too demanding, but
Well, so actually, let's forget about your background and just dive right into this because I already know your background. This is way more interesting to me. So, what would you say to people that, because, like, I think there's very popular movements like Me Too and stuff, which I kind of look at it similar to unions. You know, when they were founded, and the idea of a union was, hey, like, we have people dying in coal mines. We should have something to protect these people from dying in coal mines. Like, similar with Me Too. I think what it stands for at, like, a very broad level is like, hey, women are being taken advantage of, and women are, uncomfortable and scared to speak out and stuff like that. But so of course I am for that, but I feel there's still somewhat of a stigma, and it's still rather common to hear that women are at a disadvantage in the marketplace. And again, Mad Men era, yes.
yeah,
In 2021, I'm just not buying it, and I agree that I think there's a big advantage. Just like I agree, or I agree with myself apparently. Just like I think there's an advantage in 2021 being a non-white person. I
right.
think in business. So what are your thoughts on that? Why is there still a stigma? Do you think it's just people that don't take accountability for themselves, or why is there still a stigma that women are at a disadvantage in business?
You know, I think that there is still a part of the economy on a mass scale where women may be affected, right? Um, we know women's suffrage only became available a few decades ago, right? So are there remnants of that? I'm sure there are. In some way or capacity, women could have a little bit less opportunity. Now, on a micro level, looking at yourself individually or myself as a woman, I'm I think that's total BS to think that you have any less opportunity, that I have any less opportunity than you, Jeremy, because you're a guy. Are there like maybe micro transactions of business where because I'm a woman, like I have an advantage, or because you're a guy, you have an advantage? Of course. But I think in a long-term scale, you're not going to be more successful, or whatever guy out there is not going to be more successful than me just because he's a guy. I don't really think like that in business, nor have I ever. Just because I don't know, it's just always how I've thought in business. I've never let it be a detriment to whatever I'm doing. I've always, you can you can try to control situations that you can't control, or you can learn to, surf the wave. Life is going to give you waves, right? Good waves, bad waves. You can try to control the wave, right? Or you can just learn how to surf it, right? So I think the Me Too movement is just people trying to get attention. I think the women that I know in business, they put their heads down and focus just like everybody else. And Could there be things here and there that happen because, you have, different color or gender or whatever? Sure. But I think on a macro level, like over decades of building like a network and really learning like how businesses work and how to grow businesses, in my experience, that hasn't really affected my ability to be like successful, quote unquote. Right. So I think it's just, I think it is like what you're saying before, like people just not holding themselves accountable. I think women have all the opportunities available that they could ever have. I think it's a point of just having no fear, being able to ask. And, when I go into negotiations, I know exactly what I want. I'm not going to leave the room until I get it, or I'm going to leave the room with no deal. I think some men and women, may enter the room and be afraid to ask, or to be afraid to ask for a specific deal. So they ask less because they're worried about losing it. So, I don't think that's a gender thing. I think now it's an individual thing. I think women, now you have all these things like WeBank and, women owned, women certified businesses where you can get large contracts, right? And you have all these grants if you're a woman or whatever. There are so many different advantages to that. And you get free press too. Like I speak at, UCF all the time and get into the news all the time because it's like a women-owned business thing, which I take advantage of 100%. So I think it's a total advantage. I don't think women have any less of an opportunity on a greater scale than men.
Yeah, I agree. I was just talking with somebody today, like, what if I started like a white male business owned community? Like that would be like a national news story if I did that. I think there'd be like a helicopter over my house. That is a wild time we're in. Is like a buddy of mine owns, I think it's, when I say buddy loosely, colleague, I actually just saw him in a restaurant today, and he owns something along the lines of being called like Black Business Owners of Central Florida or something, which I think is great. But I guess at what point is, because I feel like we're going through a really strange time of where it's like reverse race, like reverse racism. Like there's no way I could create a white business owners of Central Florida. No. Like there's no way. Like it would be like heavily. So at what point is, I mean, I don't know, but I'm glad you think that way. And of course you think that way because that's why we get along, and that's more importantly than that, why you're successful is, like you said, of course there's going to be people that like look at me and don't like how I look and be like, he dresses stupid, or I don't like his podcast, or I don't like how he does things, and they're just not going to want to work with me or whatever. There's always going to be people, but I do agree. I think everything going on right now, and that I think it's awesome that you view it as an advantage, because I think that's healthy. So what would you like?
100%. I mean, sorry to interrupt. I have a fun story about that.
Sure.
So people like running an angel investing group as a woman, people would like salivate at that. Like, there'd be like, I would be so good at like getting the goofy engineers with money, like just to have fun with it and go out to dinner with these entrepreneurs and, get a little bit more extroverted, because, when men are a certain age, all they want is to be around beautiful women and fast cars, people who are like-minded, right? So I use that as a total advantage, and we made it fun. So I had a business partner, Blair Martin, who we did most of the development, and my other business partner, Mike O'Donnell, but Blair and I would do most of the traveling. We would play off of each other, being women, owning a business, running around, doing all kinds of venture capital stuff. So it was a big thing that worked to our advantage. People wanted to be around Florida Angel Nexus because it was so fun. They wanted to throw money into deals because it was so fun. And it was just crazy to see like a woman doing all this stuff to their minds, right? All my membership was like, 60 plus average, right? And mostly guys. I would say like 10% women. And that was all. I spent a lot of time trying to get more women. I had a whole investor summit in Miami just for women. And we had a whole women statewide angel group that would meet virtually too, just to get more women involved. So it's always been a passion of mine to get just more women into business.
I think it's great that you own it. I mean, what would you say to people that comment, because like they're saying, oh, so you're only getting guys investing in you because they want to hang out with younger women. Like, oh, okay, they don't want to invest in the deal. They just want to invest and hang out with a bunch of women. It's all about sex, right? Like, what would you say to that?
Yeah. So you said like if they don't want to actually invest, if they just wanted to hang out.
No, not if they just want to hang out. But I still feel like because I've had conversations about that. Well, like, oh, well, it's still not okay if guys are just wanting to hang out with women because like they're younger or more attractive. And in my mind, I'm just like, that's just a woman being smart in business. She's using her strengths to capitalize. That's no different than if you're just smart or if you're really talented at something, right? But do you agree?
Exactly. Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm sure there's people that like doing business with you too because you're good looking too. Oh. Right? There's different yeah, you're welcome. There's different like what's the word, advantages that everybody has. That's why you don't hire somebody that's ugly for sales. You need to hire somebody that's charming. Ugly can mean ugly personality, not outgoing. Like you have to hire somebody charming for sales. Any business owner that you and I would ask, would you hire somebody not charming for sales? They would say no. So it's the same rules, right? You hire business development people that are charming and that can make a room lively and fun and engaging. And yes, it just happened that I was a woman too, and I took advantage of that in the appropriate ways. There are inappropriate ways to take advantage of that too, but you know, there's a fine line, right?
Absolutely. I had something really important to say there, but I got sidetracked with the compliment because I was battling my own self-love issues and stuff, and I just got like, it like threw me for a loop. So thank you for that. I don't know if you saw on my face, I was like shocked. I was like, wow, well thank you. We got it on audio and video, so that's good.
Recorded.
We are, yep. I just checked for sure. I was like, we are recording still. That's good.
So I'll add another note to that. Sorry, one more note before we get to the next thing. That was always something hard though, being a woman in business, being around a bunch of guys. That was always really hard for me in the dating scene because guys would always be just very territorial. They would always be worried. Like, you know, why are you hanging out with this person after 5 o'clock? You know, even giving that compliment to you, that would be too much for some guys that I had dated, right? So that would always be a challenge. There was at one point in time where I told my mom, like, I might not just get married because I'm happy myself. I got a great life. That's okay. I'll just have a kid. I can support, you know, children myself, you know, until Mike came along and freaking like, it was amazing. And it would be great. Mike could be standing here and I could say that and it would be, he would be like, yeah, that's great. You are good looking. He would agree. Right. And that's another thing about being a woman in business that I'm sure a lot of women have challenges is like finding the right dating scene too, especially if you're in a position with me, even running the marketing agency, Clickable Impact. I just like, sometimes I'm in meetings with men and sometimes it's later or earlier and Mike doesn't care, which that was always a challenge in the past too.
Yeah, I mean, that's important to bring up, and it's taken me, I'm 31 now, so it's taken me about 30 years to get to this point, but there's no competition for me. So I have other issues in relationships, but jealousy is typically not one of them, because I know there's no competition for me. I'm like, and I'm not saying this out of ego. This is just self-love, maybe a little bit of ego, but mostly just self-love and self-confidence. Like, if a girl's gonna leave me for another guy, and not that I don't have jealousy come up on occasion, I think it's human to have some jealousy here and there. I definitely have it come up, and I actually remembered what I was gonna say earlier right there. It actually relates to this, so it's good. But I'm to the point now where I like I'm like I'll like say whatever woman I'm like, you know, in a relationship with, and I know her like, you know, challenges, because we all have challenges, we all have flaws, we're all imperfect as humans, right? I have my own shit, they have their own shit, whatever. I'm just like, if this guy is gonna deal with all this stuff I'm dealing with, I'm like, good luck. Like, you
Good
know,
luck.
I don't think there's competition. You know, I don't think there's competition for me, and that's helped me navigate a lot, because, and again, self-love, because of the work. Very few people that read the way I do, that are committed to growth the way I am. Like if there's another guy for you that fits your needs, good luck. And it's taken me a long time to get there. And the thing I was going to bring up earlier was, I think it's important for us as humans to realize, like, whether you're religious or not religious, like, it, at our core level, like core being, as like a living mammal, we have two main purposes in life. Do you know what they are?
No, go ahead. I'm
Survival.
interested to hear.
Survival, number one.
Uh-huh.
Reproduction, number two. Staying
Okay.
alive and keeping the species moving forward, so making more of us, okay?
Mhm.
So survival, aka security, aka modern security, wealth, money, and reproduction, sex, obviously. So money and sex. Like, money and sex are really what we crave at our core level. Money is maybe not the best word, but wealth, security, financial independence, whatever just helps keep us alive and keeps us secure, protects our family, stuff like that. So I bring that up because of the women in business thing. Like, capitalize on those two things. Especially men, right? Like, that's at their core. They want to earn more money, and they want to think they're keeping the world moving forward. They want to think they're, you know, reproducing or have some chance of reproduction, you know? And if you can give them that, I mean, there you go. You're keeping them happy. You're,
Yeah.
like, so I think it's important, just like biologically. Like, we're advanced as a species, but not that advanced. Like, we still really, like, are controlled by those survival things, you know?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, speaking of reproduction, I've been thinking of kids, and it's very scary to think of popping an organism out of my body. I don't know how other women have done it, you know, especially like running a business, you know, and I'm like about to turn 30. So, you know, my clock is ticking. It's not like I have to like make a decision right now, but also adopting, I've learned, is pretty expensive too. It's like, you know, 60, 80K you have to have ready to go per kid. I'm guessing, right? Somebody might know more.
Just
So
live in Ocala and just have 4 kids before you're 20.
shoot.
And, yeah. No, they don't cost any money up front, but obviously it's like there's a payment plan on them. You know, there's no money
Yeah.
down, but they're really expensive long term. So are you saying you're trying to have a kid?
Well, not yet. I mean, you know, marriage first and then the kid thing. But I always like to, like, I run businesses. I like to think of the end in mind, right? So I want to think of like, okay, where do I want to be like 5, 7, 10 years from now? I'm already starting to think about like those kinds of things, right? My parents are like, you know, late 60s. They're like, hey, grandkids. I'm like, all right, you know, I'll think about it. So I got like some pressure there. And then it's also like, I want kids too. It's not, I want kids, like, you know, 2 or 3, you know. So it's also figuring out, okay, with my crazy life schedule running these businesses, you know, where am I going to fit that in? Because it's never about having time, it's always about making time with people like you and me, right? So my solution to that is hiring a nanny.
Of
So
course.
hiring a nanny to take care of them so I can do CEO stuff and then come back and then, you know, hang out and play with them, basically.
Anybody that frowns upon nannies, they're just mad because they can't afford one. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
truth. Because it's like, why wouldn't you want, if you have the financial means, of course I would frown upon like a non-existent parent, but I think the idea of a nanny is like, hey, help with the stuff that sucks, and I'm just gonna like spend as much quality time. You know, like that probably, just from the sounds of it, and I've never had kids, and I want to talk to you about kids, and I want to talk to you about being business partner with Mike. But I just think parenthood would be so much more enjoyable, like not having to clean up shit off the kids, you know, like doing that every day, and shit makes me gag. Like I'd be gagging, and I just like wouldn't like doing it. Then I'd probably resent the baby because I'm gagging every time, and it's just like, I'm going to do the fun stuff. They're going to hang out like for poopy diapers and stuff like that. It's like washing clothes. Like, why wouldn't you if you have the financial means? Like, it's just, why not? And then there's a lot of, like, there are nannies that genuinely love that.
Yeah.
They love that stuff. Like,
yeah. Oh, totally. Totally. There are people that do love that. Yeah. So I recently just got a maid, and it's been the most amazing thing. So I'm like, I need to start working on this nanny thing.
You know, just got a maid?
I did just get a maid.
Wow. Yeah. Welcome to,
like a couple months ago.
Welcome to the life. Yeah. I mean, I keep my place clean, you know, but it's like the little stuff, like the cleaning, the glass, the shower, the bathroom. Like I don't need all that stuff. Again, as entrepreneurs, if you don't have a maid as an entrepreneur, you're a bad entrepreneur, because you should know that's not a good use of your time. The only exception, in my opinion, do you actually, before I say my exception, do you think there should be any exceptions to that?
Well, if you're not making enough money,
I would still figure out a way to pay for it, unless you like literally have no money. But like, I think the exception is if you get pleasure out of it, which there are some few special people, if they truly like it. Like there are some people, like I don't cook, I don't clean, I don't do that stuff because I don't like it, and my time is best spent elsewhere. But there are some people that really like cooking, right? So like, why would I hire somebody to cook if I enjoy it? It's peaceful for me, it's relaxing, it's a hobby, right? So if it's somehow weirdly a hobby for you, I'd say that'd be the exception. How many kids are you gonna have, Caroline?
2 or 3. Maybe. Nah, I'm not gonna do 4. 4 is too much. I don't know. I would say 2 or 3 for right now. It's really like, it's such a long-term thing, but at the same time, I feel like my life is like, I blink my eyes and like the month is gone. Like we're already in July. Yesterday, I still thought we were in June. I'm like, holy shit. You know, looking at our financial statements, I'm like, we're almost halfway through July. It's crazy. You know? So I feel like my eyes are going to blink, and I need to like continue to marinate these things like over time. It's a big decision. It's a big decision. And if you're going to have more than one, I feel like you have to time them out, like specifically, because my sister and I are 2 years apart, and I thought it was great, like growing up together. I always had somebody, you know, if one of us was getting bullied, we all had each other for support, you know? So I think having kids like closer in age is the best thing, you know, because you grow up together and you have like a lifelong like partner there, whether or not you have a significant other that is your partner. Like my mom and my aunt. My mom had 5 brothers and 1 sister, so still like I think 2 brothers left and 1 sister. My mom and my sister have been so close together like our whole lives, right? So that's kind of like my sister and I would want that for my kids, you know.
You said your parents are in their 60s, so that means they had you in their 30s.
Yeah.
So you're right on early
40s.
Yeah, early 40s.
I think so. I have to do the math right. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be a little bit younger than when they had me. Yeah.
It's crazy. And by the way, like, not to turn this podcast really dark, but I should actually do an episode about this. There, in some countries, like the legal age of consent is like 12. Like girls are having kids like so young. Like grandparents are in their 30s, and like that's just so strange compared to what's going on in our society. I mean,
strange.
Could you imagine?
So strange.
Yeah. I mean, even some states, I think, in the U.S. still have something like 14 or 16 legal age of consent, because it's a, like, I think it's a state, but it is crazy to think. Obviously times have changed and there's high school now, so we view 18 as like an adult because they're graduating high school, and but that's just a fucking 12. I'm like, my God.
I'm so thankful that I studied abroad so I could see all that kind of culture shock. So like when I studied abroad in Spain, it wasn't as much of a culture shock. There were a few things, but then I went to Morocco for a few days, and that was another level. That was so different. Like I'm talking, I was in a bus going down the road, and there were only men on the right at the restaurants and women and children on the left side of the road, two different sides of the road. So it's crazy. Yeah.
Wow. How do you feel about, does age 30 mean anything to you?
Well, other than going to Tulum to celebrate it, I think it's just, you know, another decade. I think I'm a whole new person since I was like 20, right? I think I'm a whole new, probably like 5 people over, you know? It's a new rebirth, I think. You know, I don't think it's set in as much as it will, like on like my birthday weekend, you know, and I'm just there like thinking every birthday I try to travel somewhere, and like I turn off my phone. I like to sit and meditate and just like, you know, have like go out and eat somewhere, just like walk around wherever I'm traveling and just like sit and think about the year before. What did I like about my life that happened? What do I not? What do I want to change? You know, I let that just be a really cool, like thoughtful day, you know? So I'm sure it'll hit me like in a lot of ways, like on that day. Yeah.
I personally, I think the 30s for me is like by far the best, because I've like worked through a lot of my personal shit. I feel like,
yeah,
I do feel like I've like got more handsome with age. I feel like I don't know, some of the kids I went to high school
known you
have
I
not
haven't known you for that long, so.
Again, and this is like, maybe there's a little ego in here, but this is years of therapy and coaches and books. I mean, I it comes from a place of just starting to have a little bit of self-love. But some kids from my high school, by the way, going the opposite way. I was just saying. No, but like I'm excited for my 30s. I think, you know, I'm starting to see business successes, and it kind of slows down. You know, I kind of understand business and things, or red flags are easier to see, and it's just, life is in a good spot. How do you envision Caroline when she turns 40? What are you going to be doing when you're 40?
I will for sure have kids, married. I'll have a couple exits under my belt. So, you know, outside of the agency, for the listeners, we also own a few different companies, and we'll have a few exits. I'll still be doing some venture capital stuff on the side and just traveling. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
How about you?
Well, have you always been entrepreneur or entrepreneurial?
No. Always meaning since birth? No.
I mean,
I didn't even know what that word meant until I looked it up. I literally had like a UCF like thing, like a degree sheet, and I saw entrepreneurship on there, and I was like, what the fuck is that? So at the time I was going to do a dual degree for physical therapy and business management, because my grandma had a physical therapist. I thought it was cool. My mom was like, they make a lot of money, and you know, it's kind of fun. So I was like, all right, let me do that. So, and then business management because I wanted to. I don't know, you know, when you're young, like, how do you know what you want to do?
That
and what
sounds
really
very
is
successful when you're young. I agree. When I chose my like major, I only took a few college classes, but it just sounded like something a cool person would do.
Exactly. That's the only reason why I picked it, you know? So then like a few years, like going into college, I studied abroad, right? I decided, you know, I really love Spanish, and I'm going to make it one of my majors. So I got a major in Spanish. So I studied like 18th century literature, poetry in Spanish. I studied business Spanish. It was crazy, the types of stuff that UCF has you do. I spent a lot of a lot of time really like getting good at it. And then I also did a second major in finance. So the turning point with that was, well, I started taking general business classes, because in the College of Business at UCF, you have to take those general ones like general finance, general accounting, general management. And when I took the management class, I was like, I already know all this shit. Like, this is easy. Let me take something that's going to give me a challenge and teach me something that I need to know, because I'm already paying for this, you know? I paid for school all myself, paid for sorority, living, everything, and still went to school, and then eventually started business too. But so I was like, let me just do finance, because it's going to teach me something. This is interesting. I love learning the way that money flows and how to actually apply it. Like, fuck geometry, fuck algebra. Like, that didn't teach me anything other than, you know, here's how to like calculate this angle or a diameter or whatever, right? That wasn't interesting to me at all. But to learn how cash flow works and things like that, I was like, oh, that's really cool. And I would always, like, my dad and mom do concrete construction, so they've had their business for 30 plus years. And I would always go with my dad, you know, fixing the trucks, or, you know, climbing the tree while he was like working on something over here, climbing the dirt piles, you know, and just like getting a sense. I would always bring my concrete boots in case there was extra concrete at the end of the sidewalk so I could smush into it. So it's really cool. It's like that all came in. Now I was actually learning business and going back to those childhood memories too. But anyways, more back to where your question was, like, how did I really start entrepreneurship? My business partner, Odie, who wasn't my business partner at the time, we were just friends, and we would go to this club called, it wasn't a club, it was a UCF student club. Every Tuesday night, 200 students get together and we dance salsa. Okay. It's in a rueda style, which just means in a circle. So it's kind of like line dancing where you switch partners, but it's Latin dancing. So you like dance salsa, right? So we started doing that, and we met and we clicked. We were just hanging out all the time. And then I just started wearing, I was a dancer beforehand. I did all kinds of color guard stuff, dancing stuff. So I would always wear like my jazz shoes or just flat shoes. I was not going to wear the heels. I never liked wearing heels, only for very specific like dinners and things like that. Why wear heels when you can still look good in flats, right? So she was like wearing heels all the time, but she was just uncomfortable. So by the time we went to like an actual salsa like event, any kind of event, she would be doing the catwalk at the end of the night. And then I'd be fine. But there was one problem with my shoes, though. They were ugly to her, right? To a girl that liked to wear heels, my shoes were ugly. So she was like, let's make them. And I was like, all right. So like 2 years later, we spent like, you know, 2 students, we spent probably like $40K like developing the shoes. Then we had our first online store, and then I became an entrepreneur at that point. That was when I was a junior in college.
Wow.
That's how I started, not because I wanted to, it just literally happened like that. Yeah. And I'm wearing one of our designs right now. Let me show you.
Nice. Is that business still in existence?
Yeah. So Clickable runs it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And is that person still your partner?
She's not. So, oh man, that's probably a whole nother podcast. But I think eventually she started going to law school. I continued running the business and then doing venture capital stuff. And then, you know, her dad got really sick, and she's kind of like the head of the household because she like mainly speaks English and, you know, came from Cuba. That's also a crazy story there. And so she kind of had to take control of the household with her dad not feeling so well. And eventually her dad passed away. She started her trucking company again. And I think our lives just went like this, you know, in the way that they were going. So then we just decided, hey, you know, like my life moved way towards internet marketing. Her life moved towards, I need to take care of my family and have some stable income with the trucking business and the law firm, you know, when she graduated from Stetson, you know, she started doing that. So I think we decided, hey, it's probably best if I just took over the business and then just kept growing it. So here we are. And then, you know, the agency runs everything. And then I have a small team of people that handle like the back office stuff. So, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think we've talked about that as much.
Not so much. So that was started in like 2014 or 2013?
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So I mean, that's a long time for a business to be alive.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it was crazy. Like, you know, us being able to align. I think what the brand is called B Steps, and I think what B Steps gave me was you have to really make sure you align with your business partners, and it's okay if you have to, you know, not do business together if it doesn't mesh. And I think at the time when we started the business together, we had like similar thoughts about it, but it's just during a time when your life is changing so much. You have so many different opportunities, right? She eventually wanted to go to law school anyway, and you're still learning about yourself. You know, I had no idea I was good at sales and marketing, but with the investor stuff, with the shoes stuff, and now with Clickable, my role always naturally became the sales and marketing, right? The business development person, kind of like you. It's just a natural thing. We like connecting with people, you know?
Yeah, no, that's great. Just out of curiosity, based on what you just shared, I would be curious, because you know, like a little bit about what I do in business, but not like too much. What do you think, just what do you perceive me as in business? Like, what do you think I'm good at?
What do I think you're good at?
Yeah.
I think you're good at, first and foremost, the first thing I notice you're good at is making deals happen. The second thing I think you're good at is managing conflict. The third thing I think you're good at is providing a vision and motivating a team. Those are the things that I've seen you be really good at. Like from the time that we spent together, which is a fair amount of time, like I spend more time with you than a lot of people. And with us working together on a project too, I think you're really good at that. You know, you lead a lot of the calls, you provide a lot of vision, and you say it in a way that when it's time to like correct someone or fix something, you say things in a way that's not going to hurt people's feelings, but it lets them know that, hey, this needs to be fixed. And I think that's something that I could probably like learn from, because sometimes I can be a little with my energy. I think sometimes my energy goes in a way where people might be overwhelmed by it. And when it's time to fix something or correct something, you know, taking it in the way that you do, that's like, it's in a like softer way, but it's still strong enough to where it's very clear in the message that you're trying to create. Does that make sense?
No, I appreciate that. And by the way, I like equate that to memory. Like my brother and I talk about this stuff a lot, and he like says he can't remember people's names very well. And he's like, "How do you remember people's names?" And then he'll like want advice like how he can communicate better. And I'm like, at the end of the day, you just have to remember they're humans with feelings that are seeking happiness, and like give a shit about them. Like there's no secret to like communicating. Like that's why like when people, it's like a random pet peeve of mine when they say I'm bad at remembering names. It's like, no, you just don't give a shit about them. And that's okay. Be honest. Like, hey, I just didn't have a big enough connection or impression to remember their name. That's the truth. Saying I'm bad at remembering names is avoiding accountability. So I've tried to be as empathetic as possible, knowing that, especially like with, you know, team members like of yours, people that work with you, especially when I can tell they put a lot of time and effort into it. Like I'm conscious of that when I'm sharing. You know, I try to be, you know, if someone put a lot of time and energy into something, the last thing they want to be told is like, this sucks. And
yeah.
So yeah, I just try to remember people are humans with feelings. And so I appreciate that. Enough about my positives though. What areas do you think I can improve from the time we spent together? And I appreciate the positives, by the way. It was really nice of you.
You're welcome. Gosh, what can you improve on? I'll have to think about that one. Yeah, I'll have to think about that one because I think you do a really good job of relationship management. So I don't like with our team and working together with you at Founders, the way you do things there, it's really great. So I think you do a good job already. So I'll have to give that more thought.
I'm writing down note here. I'm perfect. Let me see here. No, I'm just
I'm
kidding.
not saying
I'm
that,
just
but
kidding. I'm just kidding. So I
okay.
I was just curious. Like I didn't even plan on asking that by any means. I was
Yeah.
just curious because I don't think I've ever asked. So in our time
Yeah.
working
Oh,
together. So
just, well, if you say something, like if you say you're going to do something, then do it. Like putting the Jaguar bottle in the back of your background.
well, I did it.
You
We
did. You did.
I did it. I definitely just slipped my mind for sure. And I
Yeah.
did. I here I'll take full accountability. I didn't prioritize that.
You did not, but as it should not be prioritized. But I couldn't think of anything else off the top of my head. So there you go.
Yeah, for those listening, I have a bottle of tequila and a gold Jaguar right behind me that was a as a birthday present. So thank you for that. And it it's really shiny and gold. I think it's 24 karat gold, right, Caroline? No, I'm
Is
just
there still tequila in it?
yeah. I don't drink tequila,
Oh shit. Okay.
so I don't drink that much. Period, though, right? So it's I
Yeah.
like throw up. I get sick a lot. I get
Didn't you
sleepy.
stop drinking for a bit?
Like
Like, did you stop cold turkey, basically?
I drank Saturday. It was the first time I drank since our mastermind. So
Oh man.
very rare. Maybe like drunk once or twice a month.
Hmm.
More leaning on the once lately. But yeah, once or twice, and then maybe like a couple drinks, like once a
Hmm.
week. You know, give or take. I don't know, but it just doesn't make my body feel good. I don't know, and the more self work I do, I feel like I'm good at if I am into something, my energy and I is there without alcohol, and like alcohol makes it worse. Like my energy can be there with no alcohol, and alcohol
Yeah.
like can suppress that and actually like
Right.
bring me lower, and it makes me feel bad, and I like
Mm.
throw up when I get drunk 1 out of every 2 times. So I don't know. It's not for me. So I'll probably have a pretty good liver. I hope when I'm older. So I want to talk about Mike. So what's it like? You live with your boyfriend. You obviously date your boyfriend and your business partners. What's that
Yeah.
like? Is it something you would recommend to everybody?
And we work out together like every day, except for today because I had an early meeting and he had a haircut like at 9 a.m. But usually around 8:30, like we work out together. Um, I don't recommend it. I think we're really an anomaly. I think my parents are also an anomaly where they've had a business for 30 plus years. They just had their 43rd anniversary on the 1st of July. So congrats to them.
Mm.
I think Mike and my personalities are very tolerant of each other. So I feel like a lot of couples, like they need time apart from each other because of whatever annoys them about the other person. Um, I think also we enjoy each other a lot, whatever it is, and we keep it light like all the time, unless we have to talk about something serious, which usually has to do with the business, not really us. And that's like during the daytime and business stuff anyways. Like if I can tell like Mike's stressed, like, and it's 7 o'clock, like when we're like done with business, like when we're done with business after 5, like I literally have it on my calendar invite. Do not book meetings with me unless it's with drinks. So I think that if he's stressed, at night and I can tell he's like, wants to talk about something, then I'll be like, yo, let's go for a walk around Lake Eola. We'll talk about it and then talk it through. And then there you go. But we usually keep everything light. And when we do need to talk about something serious, we always um, listen and speak to understand, not to be understood. So I think that's also a big piece of what really helps our relationship too. I think not only communicating in that way, but also like not letting the little things annoy you. Like of other couples of our friends that like are dating, like we see them fighting over like the dumbest shit. Like, oh, you didn't make reservations for dinner or something. Like literally fighting over the dumbest things. And I think Mike and I are very tolerant of like little things like that happening. It has to be something really big that happens in general with life or business to get us like really like angry or whatever that anger feeling would be, or frustrated, or any kind of negative feeling, So I think you have to to have the type of relationships that we have when you're also business partners too. You have to really understand business and how to separate everything, and also how the other partner aligns together. Like running these steps with my best friends, that gave me the ultimate lesson on why or why not you wouldn't want to work with somebody that you love and that you're really close to. So I learned basically all the do's and the don'ts of that, and they're very intricate do's and don'ts. There's something that I can't talk about like in 5 minutes to say like do these 10 things and then you're good. It's things that I've learned over years, but the main things are, one, you have to know what you want and be very explicit about that. So when Mike and I first started dating, I let him know exactly what I wanted, what I expected in a boyfriend.
What'd you tell him that you wanted and expected?
So we did, I pulled up like, I remember we were having drinks at the Hanson's. That was like our first date basically. And actually it was funny. So it was even before that we were kind of telling each other what we wanted, but we weren't saying anything. So he had no idea that I liked him. And I was asking him questions like that, like, what do you want in a girl, for me? But he thought I was just asking for fun. So it was funny. So he was saying somebody playful, ambitious, whatever. I'm like checking off the box. I'm like, yep, that's me. That's me. For me, it's, someone that does things with purpose. That's a big one. I don't like people that like kind of go about life and they don't know where they're going. At least like have a direction. The other one is always be honest, whether or not, it's something I want to hear or not. I've had people in the past that I've dated that haven't been honest with me about, are we exclusive or not? And, that really like, it can mess with your brain. I'm sure like people that are listening, if you've had that happen to you where your significant other wasn't faithful to you, then it can mess with you. Cause like, I'm a pretty fucking loyal person, And so that's a big one too. And honesty, whether or not you're faithful, or honesty in whatever in life, whatever is going on, that's a big one too.
On that one, by the way, this is important, and this is right. Yeah. I wrote down 2 things that compliments for you, and I was gonna share when you were, but we got sidetracked. I'm bad at that sometimes, but I was actually gonna say the number one thing I think from you, like a trait, I think you're good at building trust, and then number 2 would be like creating excitement about something. Mm-hmm. Which is very important, which makes sense why you're in like investor type things, because that's what they want, to be excited and to, feel like they're going to get their money back. So that makes a lot of sense. So you're saying being honest and you're loyal. I can see that just from my interactions. I get that vibe. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think
you're good.
I'm just thinking about something to ask you. You know how there's some people like, do you believe people that cheat on their spouses regularly, do you think that, like, would you trust that person in business? You know what I mean? Because I feel like there's a core, like, it's like if you're dishonest to your wife or your serious girlfriend, Do you think that means there's a high probability that they could be dishonest in a business deal, or do you think they're separate?
I've I've always it's always crossed my mind because I've had people that I've considered doing business with that weren't faithful. Either they started flirting with me or one of my friends or just in general. And it's always affected my decision in doing business with them because if they can't figure out their problems with their significant other, then that means there's probably a spider web all over, you know? So I'd like to think that I've built enough connections where I can choose the people that I do business with. I don't have to just do business with everyone, right? So I've always tried to like steer clear of those types of things, you know, and always stayed with people that are honest in like all aspects of their life, you know, because I always think like if you're not like plain Jane shoot grader already, then, you know, down the road, something's going to happen. And I feel like I have a feeling that's happened to me in the past. I can't think of a situation right now where somebody like was being like sketch and maybe not being faithful to their partner or business partner. And then I try to do something with them and then it happens to me. Right. So I think it does transcend. So I do steer clear of people like that are just, if you're not doing something right in your personal life, then you're probably not doing something right in business and in other aspects of your life, for sure.
For sure. And I agree completely. And I think there's a lot of correlations. Like if you're, and by the way, that's why with founders, I'm really, really pushing people to bring their significant others for multiple reasons. But
Nice.
I think you can, and a handful are going to be on the retreat, right? But I think that you can tell a lot about somebody based on their relationship with their significant other, how
Mm-hmm.
they treat them, how happy they seem to be in the relationship. But
Yeah.
I've had a few business deals in the past with people that are dishonest to their significant others. And the thing in common with all of them, I've just kind of realizing this for the first time, is when things got bumpy, they were like when things went tough or went a little sideways or whatever, they like freaked the fuck out and they were impossible to deal with,
Yeah.
which makes sense because they were doing the deal up until that point. That shows me for just true selfish intentions because it benefited them. The second there was a threat to that benefiting them, they don't have the
Yeah.
loyalty, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of correlation there, and if somebody can't be honest with their partner who they like literally maybe have kids with, share a roof with,
Oh my God.
like why would we think they're going to be honest to us for like deal opportunities and stuff? So yeah, I think if you're an asshole in your relationships, you're going to be an asshole at some point in
Yeah.
your business relationships. But
Yeah. Like going back to like Odie, my business partner at the dance shoe company, I learned so much about handling conflict because like you know she's Cuban. Sometimes conversations get emotional. That would make me emotional, right? And dealing with investors, you know, and dealing with a lot of people who are successful in business, I learned that a lot of times you have to keep it objective and not personal, right? And to us at this point, right, it's a no-brainer. But when you're just starting out in a business, people don't understand those dynamics and really learning how to not only keep yourself cool, but like others, making sure you're not like getting emotional when others get emotional. If it's like a business deal that's going south or like they're just like not at the level that they want to be in the partnership or whatever. That was a really big learning lesson too, is learning how to really like deal with partnerships objectively and work through those conflicts no matter how personal the relationship is too.
absolutely, just being the adult, and it's
Yeah.
wild. Like I mean, I'm like a little bit more, I guess I'm a little older now, but in the business world I think we're both like infants still because most people that I deal with like didn't even start their first businesses till like mid or late 20s, and I feel like we both started pretty young, so we maybe have a
Yeah.
little bit of a head start. But like It's crazy to me that the how many experiences I've had with people that I would think are very mature adults, um, like countless, like dozens at this
Yeah.
point, and like the agency and stuff. That when things start getting a little rocky, which we can't avoid in business, right? Like there's gonna
Yeah.
be challenges in any business relationship because it's like a marriage, right? Like
Yeah.
expectations aren't going to be met at times, especially in the agency world, right? Like
Yeah. Of course.
you're gonna like hope for the best. Sometimes it's going to be hit, sometimes it's not. That's what fucking happens. It's part of life. So, but sometimes people are great. We actually have that on our application for like when we had agency work is how do you act when things get
Nice.
bumpy? It's a great
That's such a
question, by
good
the way.
one. That's a
Uh,
great one.
because we can't deal with like my like a friend of mine, and I considered him a mentor for many years. He's the CEO of Brewster's Ice Cream.
Nice.
He was the former president of TCBY. He would
Hmm.
say just prepare mentally for 10 challenges every day. So if you only have 5, it's a great day.
Damn. That's such a good one.
You know, it's like, and that's like the reality of business. Like, there's going to be miscommunications. There's going to be conflict. There's going to be expectations not met. There's going to be dishonesty. There's going to be all this stuff. And I think it's like on us. We can't control those things, but we can control how we respond. And I think that's what his name was, Jim Saheen. That's what Jim was great at, and I really wanted to like be like Jim. What would Jim
Hmm.
do? You know, and like
Nice.
Jim, no matter what, would always be like the calmest, most composed. I feel like if like the building was burning down, Jim would just be like calm. He'd be like, "All right, this is the game plan." He'd be like, You're good at this. You need to do this." Like he would just never lose his composure, and I feel like I modeled myself after that. Like I thought that was so admirable of a trait. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I'm doing this. It's called PQ, positive, like IQ, but PQ, positive intelligence program. And it has you do like 3 meditations throughout the day, one at 9, one at 12, one at 3. And they're very specific meditations based on your negative thoughts, like based on eliminating negative thoughts. And what it does is it shows you there's these different personas of negative thoughts. So one is the judge, one is the controller, one's the stickler, one's the hyper vigilant, right? So like the controller is that thought inside of you that's always trying to control the situation. The judge is always that voice inside of you that's saying like this sucks, right? So those are your negative thoughts, right? The positive thoughts, that's called your stage. Everybody has a stage. It's, you know, that nuanced child happiness, happy-go-lucky feeling that you have, right? Um, there's a lot of times when entrepreneurs they get so like gung-ho and big and, you know, own $100 million company or $1 billion company, and then they're still not happy, right? That's because they, according to this program, that's because they haven't controlled their saboteurs, their negative thoughts. So by doing these meditations every day and basically like learning how to control those saboteurs, you can unlock your sage. And that's kind of like what your mentor was talking about. If you unlock your sage, then you'll be able to keep your composure and you'll basically live a happier life. Whether or not you get to this achievement for the day or not, you still should be happy at the end of it. I think that's something big that I'm like, you know, improving on, because I think like, you know, you and I are like high performers, right? And there might be stress during the day. We might not hit all of our goals or, you know, get all the things done, but you have to really control those saboteurs, those negative thoughts, and, you know, bring your sage out where you can manage your composure during a big conflict, or at the end of the day, just be satisfied with what you've done.
Yeah, I like that. What you mentioned stress. What in recent memory is the thing that brings the most stress to your life?
um, I think it could be like a small thing. It could be like one of our sales team members, like they didn't get paid the right commission, or like somebody asking on my team for more income, or because I think that's my pleaser. I feel like I'm very like empathetic, but I also want to make sure like my team members are happy, so I feel like I always like want to make sure that they're good, and in a way that makes me stressed, because then I have to take my hands off of what I'm doing to like make sure those things happen. So it could be something like that, or like it could be something small, like a meeting that gets canceled. That was a big deal that was going to happen. It could be different things like that. Or it could just be in my thoughts, like just mulling things over, like in the morning when I wake up. And that's not healthy at all, right? We have to like give ourselves some time to think, right? Which is why I'm going through this program, to really like meditate and really like detach too. So that's why my phone goes on do not disturb like after 8. I probably should put it like earlier, but for purposes of like, friends or family calling me for emergencies. That's why, like, like you said, you have no meetings on Friday. I try not to schedule a lot of meetings on Friday. If I feel overwhelmed, then I'll just like book the whole day for myself, and just cancel all my meetings. So it's a counterbalance thing for me too.
Would you say you're happy?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think, we talked a little bit about like being busy and like kids and, getting a nanny versus not getting a nanny. I feel like ever since I graduated college, I've always been building my life towards around what I want, the lifestyle that I have. I walk everywhere. So owning my own business and living a life in the digital marketing internet space, that's all by design. That's all like what I've wanted. And it really does make me happy, 100%. Yeah, to have the life that I've always lived in. That's part of the thought in the future of what in my design, I want a family. So what do I need to do to make sure like I could be happy on the day-to-day and not be overwhelmed? Oh, a nanny, that would be perfect. So that's the whole reason why it came about.
Are you and Mike going to stay in Orlando?
Well, you've been recruiting us hardcore to St. Pete.
Well, if I move to St. Pete, I've been like low key. Me and Eric Tosco have been talking about getting a place there, just like a place that we probably wouldn't spend money on your own, but if it was like split 2 ways, we're like, okay, we can kind of justify that. And by the way, because of the climate we're in, of a lot of people shifting to work from home.
Yeah.
It's a lot more reasonable to deduct higher percentages of houses like that, because you hold, weekly meetings there, you have dinners there, you have, weekend networking meetings, parentheses parties, right? But there's a lot of tax opportunities in nice places, I think, too, which is a win-win, right? But I think downtown Orlando I've got to the point, I'm very grateful for all my experiences in here. I feel like it's very limiting to me. I feel like a lot of the wealth is in downtown Orlando. If I was 23, and I just wanted to party, and there's like a lot of bar options here, a lot of that. So if that's free, like that is for some people, right? Or business people that want to do a lot of that. I'm not there, so I've just been really, really set on a relocation because of that. I feel like energetically, it's just time. I'm grateful, but it's time for the next phase, right?
Yeah. No, I dig where your thoughts are going. I've grown up in Orlando, so I have family here, but also I never had to move. There's always been a lot of opportunity, and I travel a lot too. So I kind of go wherever the opportunity is, for like the couple of days I need to be there, right? Plus, like the type of industry that we're in, you can host, like you were saying, you can host like a lot of things remotely. But But I'll always have a place here, but maybe like we'll co-live. You know, Mike and I love South Florida. We're there all the time, seeing his family. We have people that we do business with there, and it's just a beautiful area. So I think we may live there, and do just like a co-living thing. But I don't know. The housing market is just crazy right
Yeah.
now. So I was gonna look at getting a house just so I don't have to throw my money away every month anymore. But honestly, with the world as it is right now, I'm just gonna put on hold. On top of like our taxes have been like, now that we have like Flight Path and a couple other portfolio companies, it's been taking forever to get our taxes done. So I can't do anything until that's done.
Yeah, and I, by the way, like I've built an unbelievable network like around the country, and I don't think living in Orlando per se like limits, because we have a lot of opportunity. I think it's just more the day-to-day energy. It's just like,
Yeah,
who do I see in the like elevator? Who am I when I'm walking around downtown? Who is it? Is it people there that are like committed to growth, or is it like people that just want to party? It's more of that. It's like energetically, like even, yeah, it's just that. I think it's more that. Not that I like lack opportunity or want to do a bunch of business deals in like the building I live in or the neighborhood I live in. It's more of just like the energy, like the likelihood that if I bump into somebody, they're just like doing something cool and they're like a big thinker.
yeah,
Very low likelihood downtown Orlando compared to like
yeah,
places I've been. So yeah, again, it's just Orlando's the biggest college campus, right? So it's or downtown Orlando is just serving that market, which is fine. If some bars do really well here and stuff, but it's yeah, it's just so just to be clear, it's more of just like the day to day energy, like the building I live in. It's a cool building and all. I never want to hear like building drama again in my life about like, oh, people were smoking at the pool, and you know the building people were getting
yeah,
onto us, and then I get emails that like we saw people smoking at the pool, and like I just that shit is like so just
yeah,
I feel like I'm just past that in my life. So just all that whole thing, if
yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I don't get the same like emails and stuff. I think the view is like very like not no drama, So I think I have a little like piece of like luxury in that right here. There's like literally no drama, and the walls are like really thick, so you can't really hear anybody. Like I could have my music blasting and it's fine. So maybe you should live with the view, but
Maybe you could be onto something.
but yeah, yeah, no, I love it. And the pool is always nice. Nothing's ever dirty. But Mike and I did stay in St. Pete for the weekend for 4th of July, and it was really nice. So who knows? Maybe we're shooting for wealth, right? So I don't think the business that we're building, we're shooting for wealth. We're not shooting for like today money, right? So I think we could definitely have like a portfolio of like, houses here and there. I don't think there's any rules, to just live here or just live there, so maybe
No,
it could be.
of course, yeah.
I
I
mean,
think
you're going to be there.
no,
So,
of course, yeah. I think yeah. For me, it's just where am I spending my day to day energy, and I think that's what's so crucial. And I think at this point in my life, like I've been, again, lots of therapy, lots of coaches, just like that self awareness. I'm more sensitive to like the people I'm around on a daily basis than I feel like I've ever been. Not that, by the way, just to be clear, like not that any of these people are bad people or like it's an I'm better than thing. It's just not aligned with who I want to be around
yeah.
energetically. So I think that's the big thing is just like I'm ultra, I can't even talk. It's the end of the day, Caroline. Ultra sensitive to people around me, right? So maybe I just need to go in the middle of an island and just pick and choose when I want to come off that island. That could be the solution, actually. Uh, is there anything else? I rarely do this, but for you, anything else you want to share or mention or conversations you want to talk about or anything before we bounce?
Oh man, I feel like we talked about so much. I could still talk about so much, but we'll leave it for another episode for sure. I just want to say thanks for having me on, and it was a lot of fun. I guess we kind of got into my bio, but long story short, I just do a lot of digital marketing stuff, kind of like Jeremy. So we're kind of like another unicorn, I think. I think that's a great way to put it. So, yeah.
Except women owned and
women owned, baby.
Yeah, so
I'm trying to get women owned certified, so I'll let you know if that works out to be anything interesting. So apparently you can get like larger contracts, right, by being women owned certified. So that should be exciting.
It's tough to have a woman owned business in 2021. Just for being a woman owned business, you get larger contracts.
It's rough. There's a group called WeBank, so WBENC for the women that are business owners out there. You have to be 51% owned. And it's a shitload of documentation. I had to come up with like 30 different documents, stock certificates, contracts that affected any operational decisions, like all kinds of stuff. Tax documents from like the past 3 years, like all kinds of stuff. And but I have a lot of friends who, you know, have the 8-figure businesses and up, and a lot of the ways that they get those larger contracts is through like women-owned certifications. So apparently
gaming the system, writing that down.
Gaming
the system. Look at me, just this white male. I just, you know, I have no privileges. No, I'm just kidding. Well, like, we should all be happy. This is the point. We should be very grateful. Always room to grow, of course, but I think we've come a long way in opportunities for women and minorities, and that's really exciting stuff. So thanks for coming on, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good.
Thank you for listening to Openly Outspoken with Jeremy Adams. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast player so you get updated when new episodes are live. If you enjoyed this episode, the best way to support is to leave a 5-star review and share the podcast with people in your life that you feel would benefit from these types of discussions. Visit openlyoutspoken.com for additional details on the show. Find out how to connect with Jeremy on social media and learn more information about Jeremy's personal and business life. We'll see you next time.